All right, what's up, guys? Connor Ferguson here for a new episode of the Always Race Day podcast, joined by, cool to call him a co-host, Logan Schuchart, and as well as Glen Saville, a fan favorite on our show. But I wanted to, before we get into news, we're going to get into news with Logan agreed to just do the first part of our show with us. So I think that's super badass and going to be a really interesting one and some things to talk to him about. But before we get there, I want to thank Chris Weiser and the Weiser companies. They hopped on board during the Knoxville Nationals and made our 10 biggest days of the year just a little bit bigger. If I can get through this, I'm on my 5th hour of radio today of doing shows, so my bad here. But one other thing is we will be having an Always Race Day show on KXNO on Central Iowa Radio every week coming up here, and Glen Saville is going to be the co-host. So I'm really excited about that and excited that we can start putting that out there and putting it around. So without further ado, I got to find the theme song button. We'll play this thing and we'll go. All right, fellas, how are we doing tonight?
Good.
Good.
Fantastic, man. Logan, thank you so much for joining us for this first part. I think it's going to be an eventful one. And I'll stop the I don't know, what do you call it? Stalling. There we go. And get right to it. But the biggest news of the weekend is Donnie Schatz has found a home also I should say the biggest news of the weekend, because we have Logan on, is Logan's going World of Outlaws racing again.
Yeah, 13 years, man. 13.
The only reason it wasn't bigger is because you've been there for 13 years. We're going to get into your career and into everything all at the same time. So I want to save that for that. But what do you guys think of in Logan, you can start here, but Donnie Schatz going to the second CJB car to run with the World of Outlaws?
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I don't pay attention to a whole lot of that kind of the outside world. I watch all the YouTube stuff in the morning, maybe when I'm drinking my coffee sometimes. But yeah, I would figure, Donnie's, what I respect about Donnie is he doesn't need to be out here, and he's still, for the love of the sport, and even after all that he's accomplished, he still has the passion to do it. So I respect that a lot for him. And as far as CJB goes, I have a lot of respect for Barry Jackson. Him and my grandfather were always close. I know Barry, respected my grandfather highly, and the same vice versa. And I always, when we first started racing the World of Outlaws and Paul McMahon was driving the CJB car, we talked to Barry a good bit, and he's very helpful for me as a young driver to talk to, and it's really cool to hear him and my grandfather talk and talk about back in the day or when they grew up or how Barry grew up racing and with Pennsylvania roots. So I always had a high level of respect for Barry Jackson, and yeah, I'm sure that they're going to be a tough group, and no doubt I think we all knew that Donnie was going to, if he wants to run the Outlaws or continue racing, which we know that he did, he was going to be back out here.
Glenn?
I think it's great for the sport. Donnie needs to be on the World of Outlaws, so that side of it's great. I think it'll be good for Donnie's headspace. He's mentioned that a few times in his interviews. So, yeah, I think he mentioned in one of his interviews there that, Ricky Warner and Barry sort of, mentored each other or whatever coming up. So I think it'll be great for him. Yeah, good to see a new and invigorated Donnie. He's ready to go.
Yeah, it's kind of we call it Kirk Ferentz 2.0 here in Iowa, talking about Iowa's coach and him getting to a point in his career where he kind of changed a little bit, got a little warmer to the media, kind of went into don't give a shit mode, and I don't think Donnie has done that yet. He's still a calculated individual that is very, very calculated in how he approaches his racecraft, but I love seeing him ink down a deal after the amount of different rides he had to hop in to finish last year and the set of circumstances that were with it. So I'm really really excited that he'll be with us. Logan, you were in the mountains over the weekend, weren't you?
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in the mountains since Charlotte. I've really, a lot of people know that we've been building a shop house that we've been working out of the past month and a half. But basically after Charlotte, I've only been home for about 4 or 5 days total since Charlotte. So not that I already spent enough time away from home, but I enjoy spending time in the woods. I got a lot of family that enjoys hunting, and which is obviously what got me into it. I didn't used to be into hunting really at all. I just loved racing. That's all I wanted to do. And then now it's a way for me to spend time with some family, especially the guys, my buddies, the guys in my family that like to hunt. So it's a great time. I did a trip to Ohio, hunting for some big whitetail deer right after Charlotte, and actually right after Charlotte, I went on a black bear hunt with Kevin and Doug from C&D Rigging, which I've never done before, which was really cool because I got just under a 500-pound black bear, and I've never done that before. Didn't expect to get anything, and then ended up shooting something which, from what I've told, is a pretty big black bear. So it was a pretty cool experience. But did a little whitetail hunting the last couple weeks, and now we're getting ready for PRI.
So you didn't see any of this race at all, I don't think, but our friend of the show, Bobby Pierce, took home the Gateway Dirt Nationals. Glenn was pissed off about this. He said he stunk up the show so bad, and if it was a good race, the broadcast missed it. Glenn, I need your raw, everything you texted me.
My opinion, huh? Well, there was a
sorry to put you on the spot with this. I know you hate.
Yeah. Thanks. Much appreciated. No, the broadcast up until the mains was great. It was awesome. There was the excitement and the energy, and you really felt it, and you felt like you were there, even if you were sitting at home in your living room. And then I don't know, it was just kind of a pretty big letdown for the mains, and not like it was great. Then both Ricky and Bobby did a great job, but it was kind of a snooze. And I guess that's the hard part of live streaming and stuff like that. You need to focus on the guy out in front, but you also need to focus on the three wide back, a little bit further back every now and again too. So yeah, I don't know, mixed feelings about that. And like I said, I kind of thought it was a bit of a massive build up and then not much at the end. So
I hope
anyway.
I hope that issue gets better in dirt racing. Logan, do you feel strongly about that one at all? I know there's some drivers out there that really get ticked off. My thing is, I understand showing the driver crossing the finish line from the exit of 4 to the 3/4 line of the straightaway, at least where you're a good enough point past the start finish line, and then flash it back. And as long as you have the audio behind it, it's fine. But what are your thoughts on where, especially the finishes, but also dirt racing broadcasts are?
So you have to explain to me a little bit of what happened, because I didn't see. I heard about it. I heard that.
No, you're fine. Basically,
explain to me a little bit.
I'm just asking you, do you like it when they cut away from the leaders, or when they stay on the leaders for the entire final lap to call the leader a winner, when they cut away from racing and traffic further back in the field?
I don't know.
That's the big debate with this one.
My whole thing was there was 2 and 3 wide from second on back, and here we are watching a leader out in front all by himself just cutting laps.
So it was between second through fifth was side by side.
Yeah.
If he's out by himself, you can throw second through fifth. You can put the camera on them for sure.
Yeah.
Bobby was out by himself. He was going to win the race. So you can show second through fifth. Now, if we're looking at 10 through 15, who cares about that? But second through fifth, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, and that was my whole thing, was it, that deal there, especially with it being as close quarters as what it is, they were throwing haymakers every corner. So it was kind of cool to watch, especially, once Bobby sort of got out in front, he cleared and that was it. So, my opinion is just different. That's all. So,
No, absolutely. So on the stay with the late model side, and then I got one more story after this, and then we'll get to questions for Logan. But on June 10th, I think it's Muskingum County, unless I wrote it down wrong. I'm 99% sure on that one. They're going to have a race it's an unsanctioned race, and the top 10 in the series standings for both the World of Outlaws and Lucas Dirt Series are going to be invited. I can't imagine either series loves this because you're pitting your talent up against theirs, and they don't like really being put up against each other. But would you guys like to see something like this for sprint car racing?
I like it. Yeah, I've said about I hope they high limit and the World of Outlaws do that. I mean, I think the fans would enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, you already see it at a lot of our big races. All of the crown jewel races, sanctioned World of Outlaws, but high limit can show up to them. But yeah, I think it's good. It's kind of like NFC and AFC with football. I've said it for a little bit, but I enjoy it, and I think late model fans probably would too. You get the stars on each side kind of coming together.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing. I think it's a great idea. Um, like you said, though, Connor, both sides are going to have something to be upset about. If they can hash out those differences, then yeah, I think it'd be great.
And and obviously those sides not great at hashing out things. We'll see. We'll see how they go. What would Logan for so say this is happening in sprint car racing, and you have to say the Outlaws say that you have to take one of your exclusivity clause races to go run. What would you need in show up money to go run it?
As far as what you mean?
As far it fits into the schedule, we're gonna do like a Wednesday night in between where you're close to the other series and going. You're already on your way that way, and you just stop in the middle on a Wednesday night, and you're gonna have a race, and you'll have an off day afterwards, travel day, and then Friday night you're racing again.
Yeah,
what would the show up money have to be?
So, when High Limit first came about, it was, they're going to be a midweek series, run, close to a World of Outlaws schedule, get some more races in between so the racers made money. And now it's turned into something else. But I think, there's a lot of good and there's some, cons to a lot of things in life. But I think for the most part, it's positive for sprint car racing and fans and in general. But yeah, I think it's a good thing. Yeah, I think it's good to have the competitiveness between the two series, and then us all show up at the same place with the Knoxvilles, the Eldoras, and Williams Grove National Opens, all that stuff. But I would show up. It depends. As far as the schedule goes, we ran 3 races last year out of the 4 that we were allowed, and it didn't really make sense to run any other ones, but it just depends how the schedule works out or how High Limit does theirs, or whatever races. I think we plan on the way the schedule works out. We're going to try and hightail it from Wisconsin to hit this Stevie Smith's tribute race back home at Lincoln Speedway for 40,000 this year. So that's a home race, but it just depends where the money's at and where the big races, big paying races that we feel like we have a good chance to run well at, or we just want to run it because it's there. So yeah, we chase the money just like the other guys do when we have the chance to do so.
Absolutely. All right, last story, and then we'll get to the questions. And thanks again for doing this, Logan. I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot with some of these, but Kerry Madsen is going to run with Vermeer Motorsports, and they're going to High Limit in search of a charter. Now, to get a charter in one of the next 2 seasons, you got to finish top 8 in both seasons or top 3 in one. Logan, my question to you, Logan, is how difficult is that to do with the roster they have? Not to say it's not difficult to do with the World of Outlaws either, but it's certainly it demands excellence to get into one of those charter positions.
Well, the High Limit series is very similar to the World of Outlaws as far as how it's structured and the point system and all that. But it's very tough to run, consistent competitive up front, night in and night out from track to track. I think you see, certain guys, they run really well, or their cars are very good at, half miles, but you don't really see them on quarter miles as much. But yeah, it's, the high limit World of Outlaws are going to a lot of, a bigger variety of racetracks. You might be at a quarter mile on Friday, and then you're at a half mile on Saturday. And just the travel and being on the road and everything in between kind of makes that a challenge, and a challenge that you don't really realize what it takes until you do it a time or two. And it's definitely an eye opener, and it's different from how you might look at it from the outside looking in. So until you do it a few times, which the team you're talking about has, Kerry's got a lot of experience, Ramir's got a lot of experience. So yeah, I'm sure they're going to have success. They've been, as far as Knoxville goes, when we raced there with them, a few years ago, they were one of the toughest cars. I felt like Kerry was very good. The 55 car was very good there at Knoxville. But like you said, traveling in between, it's tough to be consistent on a nightly basis. So I think it's even more impressive when you see guys that are finishing in the top three every night, no matter where we go. That's very, very tough to do. So I have much respect for them, and I'm trying to get my team to that point to where we can do that. But it's a consistent ongoing battle, and we have some challenges ourselves as far as getting ourselves to maybe where we were a couple of years ago, and we improved on some things this year, and I feel like we were consistent, but obviously we weren't where we wanted to be in the win category. So yeah, that's what the off season's about, is kind of regrouping. And we got great help with I'm not sure if you all know, but Carly Holmes joined our team. So she's doing an awesome job. I feel like I haven't been here much. Like I said, I've been hunting the last couple of weeks, and she basically built our car for a PRI by herself. So she's very impressive, and looking forward to working with her. And we're just doing what we can to put the word out there that we're looking for some help, a CDL driver, maybe somebody at that crew chief role. Doesn't have to be. I've done things my way for a while now. We were open to that a little bit last year, and if the person's right, maybe we will be this year. But looking forward to 2026, working with Carly and possibly whoever we bring in.
Yeah, and Glenn, real quick, do you have anything on Kerry? Because I know you raced with him.
Not yet. I haven't. I think it's good. Like I think it's great what he's doing, and look, he lives in Knoxville, so it would make sense that way they could go back and hit Knoxville every other week or whenever they need to be there. No matter where the team's based out of. So Kerry's got his shop, and he's got enough equipment. Essentially they're rolling two teams into one. So it'll be a good deal for him, I think. And it'll probably give him a little bit more consistency as well. Like the last couple of years, he hasn't raced every single weekend, and at least he'll be back in the car all the time now, and good to go. So, yeah, I think it'll be good. I think it'll be tough.
For sure.
That's all I got.
So, Logan, yeah, you mentioned you guys are looking. No, you're fine. You're perfectly fine. I think we're all kind of lagging with each other, so just be wary of it. But Logan, you guys are looking for, especially a year where you lost your former crew chief that departed, and you're trying to find someone that can kind of fill that role, especially an up and comer, in someone that can help you guys tackle the Outlaws Tour. What are some traits that you look for in hiring a person? I know you guys don't black and white have a crew chief, but someone on your team doing a lot of extra jobs, because that's what you guys do at Shark Racing. You just work, and you're the definition of grit. So
I mean, you got to get along well. I mean, you're traveling together for a long period of time. You're together almost more than you are. Well, you are together more than you are, most of your family. spend a lot of time on the road. It's a lot of hours together. Just being on the road in general is tough, whether you're a tire specialist or you're a car chief or your crew chief, whatever, label you give that person. It's not an easy lifestyle. You got to find the right people that want to do it. And, at this level, it's hard to find the right people. You have plenty of people that want to do it as their retirement, job, to travel the country and go racing. And it sounds great, but at the same time, this is it's a business. So we got to find the right people for the job. We're trying to compete at a high level, and you have the best mechanics, the best drivers, and they're well funded by good owner or great owners, and high level partners. And so to compete with them, you got to have good people in your corner. And I'm very fortunate to have Bill Klingbeil, and like I said, Carly Holmes is helping us now. And I feel very confident about the team that I have, by my side. But like, we'd like to add somebody that we get along with, that I feel like, has some experience in the sport, that can maybe, think along the same lines as I do. You got to have chemistry. When a driver comes in and says they feel a certain way, it's having that communication that, and me as a driver has to be able to communicate what I'm feeling, to help that, so said crew chief out, so that we're thinking on the same page. So it's just having that chemistry and working together well.
So Logan, and I'm not saying I'm applying for the job here. Okay. You talked about chemistry and getting along with the team. If I came on, if I applied and I said, I just have one take, I need to get off, and it's Penn State has the worst uniforms in the history of football, what would you say?
Hey, we're not on the same chemistry.
Looks like a high school team.
Not on the same page. It's not.
It was enough to get Iowa State's football coach and offensive coordinator and a few other staff members over there. And I'm really excited for you to meet Taylor Mauser and Skip, Matt Campbell's assistant, his right-hand man. And I've talked to you a bunch. Have you heard from any other Penn State fans about if they're excited for Matt or not, especially after his pretty emotional opening press conference?
Well, we're big Penn State fans around here. My family, people in this area, like, their majority of people are Penn State fans, unless you're lost. Like, some people I know just don't understand where they grew up. They're Ohio State fans. Doesn't make any sense. But for most of us, we're Penn State fans. And I was listening to some interviews today with Matt from different sources. I forget the one that I was listening to, but
Josh Pate, probably.
That's who it was. Yep.
Yeah.
I listened to his throughout the year on college football, and I like his podcast,
Same.
YouTube videos. But sounded like he was kind of helping Matt get that job, or he promoted him a little bit.
He said Iowa State fans wanted to blame Josh Pate for about 24 hours, and they've kind of shifted their blame a little bit, but he had nothing to do with it. But he definitely was proud that, because he said Matt's a good coach. I'm surprised these schools aren't asking him.
Yeah. No, from people I know, they're super excited. They listen to the same interviews and they like the way he sounds and what he's saying. And I think he's going to do a great job, or I hope so, as a lifelong Penn State fan.
I'm hopeful you get to meet those two guys at the very least, and someday Matt, because he's a tremendous human being. And that's the most information you'll ever get out of him when he's in front of a microphone, by the way. Every other press conference is, he says a lot of words to say very little info. He's very strategic about it, and it's really funny, especially as a journalist that was sitting there every week covering him. So, Glenn, do you have any questions for Logan?
Not really. I'm just glad we're not talking about helmet football anymore, because it's all Dutch to me. So,
you don't got anything for Logan?
I don't know.
Ask him why he's so much faster than you.
Well, because he's half my age too. Remember?
That's fair.
No, I don't know. I kind of agree with a lot of the points he made. Like, you were talking about your chemistry on the road and all that stuff. When I was out there, like, it was a long time ago now, but the year I did it, we actually had a crew chief from Pennsylvania who will remain nameless, but he was hard to get along with. So, just the whole team morale and all that sort of stuff, being able to keep each other pumped up after, having a few bad nights or having a couple of wrecks and, or just having a bad time out there, it makes it tough. So, from my own experience, you need someone on your team that's going to be good. Otherwise, you don't need someone at all. It's easier to work with two people that get along than have three people and one person that doesn't get along sometimes. So, that's just my two cents worth. But I don't know. What's your favorite setup? What's your hot setup? What are we changing for this season? I guess I don't know.
I don't know. We're working on some things. I got you on video in our new shop, but we're in the process of building stuff right now. Nothing crazy. I mean, obviously, I feel the few cars in front of us have some things going on where they're doing a great job and they're tough to beat right now. I feel like I said, we're consistent. We're just not winning races. I feel like we're a third through fifth place car on a lot of nights. But I think we were in the top 5 as far as all cars in the country as far as top 10s go. I think we're 4th in the top 10 category and ran 10 less races than a couple guys. So just running the outlaw schedule. So I feel like we're consistent, but what the top cars are doing that we're not, I'm not totally sure, and we're working on it. I'm working, with all our great manufacturers to figure that out and work on some things, put us in a better spot. Some of that is dash appearances, which I feel like we've done better this past year. We put ourselves in a position, and then it's capitalizing on it after that is, that's something that the 2-car does very well. They qualify very well. They put themselves up front every night, and then they capitalize on it. So, there's certain tracks that I feel like we're just as fast as anybody, can have a very good shot at winning, and then there's other tracks that I feel like I'm guessing at a little bit. And it's sometimes it's about building a notebook, but sometimes it's about building your whole program to fit in that box to figure out where you're struggling at and what type of racetracks you're struggling at, and then trying to improve on that a little bit. So we're going to continue to keep doing that.
No big product manufacturers or changes or anything like that. You're still sticking with the same group of same frame, same engine, same shocks, that kind of thing. You're just massaging what you've got a little bit better.
We massage things a little bit, but we haven't changed a whole lot. We've got the same great people helping us. I believe in, I believe that, the people that help us are 110% every day to make themselves and their racers better. So, we're not changing a whole lot around here. We have, Michael Newman is working very hard with our engine program, wing dynamics, work with Jeff last couple of weeks. We're building some new wings for this year. We got some new Sanders wheels for PRI, showing the new, the wheel cover bolt system, that we have to have this year with the World of Outlaws. Triple X, we got Doug Berryman doing our shocks with FK. DMI has been with us for a long time. Dave Ely's great with us. He was great to my grandfather, and made sure that let me know in Charlotte that he wants to continue that relationship. So we're very thankful for that. And then we have a lot of great people that help us out, and we're going to continue that relationship and try and build on it.
Yep. Cool.
Well, and I'll ask this one for Glenn, because he's talked to me about you when this has come up. But the new tires in sprint car racing, you have finished second in the World of Outlaws before, in 2021, I believe. And it's tough to get back there, number one. I mean, that's a hell of an accomplishment. How much of I don't want to use the new tires as an excuse for you. I'm not trying to frame it like that, so don't take it like that. Hopefully that's good enough here. But how much has that made it harder for you with getting used to these new tires? And do you think you've gotten used to them? Where are you at with that part of your own racing career?
I think I understand them to a decent amount. Like I said, we're always trying to get better. But I think you have to race a lot more aggressive with these tires than what you used to. They're a lot more, I think of them sort of as when the very first year I ran 410s, we ran Goodyears. And Goodyear, you had to run super aggressive all the time, in my area, before I went on the road. Obviously, I grew up in Pennsylvania. Brian Monteith was very fast, kicking everybody's butt at Lincoln, and he was super aggressive compared to the other guys. And I feel like that's sort of what you see with our tires now. They, you have drivers complaining, teams complaining that, you have to run up, hard against the cushion all the time. You don't slow down and use as much finesse on the bottom or the middle of the racetrack like maybe you used to back in the day, or even with the H tires that we had a couple years ago. And I think that's sort of what you've seen with, I said it on a different interview or a different podcast. I think you see that with, everybody asks, is Donnie, is he just getting older or whatever, like you're just talking about. And that's not the case. Like Donnie is Donnie Schatz. He's the same guy that won how many nationals, and he drives the same way. When you're around him, I can tell, when I'm racing with him, he races the same way. He's not, and I think, for myself, I think I have, I'm not sort of as aggressive as some of the guys that come from California and different parts of the country. And I feel like I said, I'm trying to learn as far as the race car goes, how we can make it better. I feel like there's, definitely some areas that we lack. And then there's probably some, do the tires really, would I be better if it was a certain tire that, required more finesse in the middle of the racetrack? I do think that would benefit me, but that's not what we're given. So I think we're given a tire that requires you to drive aggressively, and that's why I think you see certain guys shine and maybe others not so much, but we're all racing on the same tire, so we got to figure it out. I was a little surprised that they didn't change for next year. Buddy Kofoid and I both tested tires at Sharon, and after that, the way that went, I thought for sure that they would change our tires for 2026, and they decided not to. So I was a little surprised by that.
I don't want to get you in trouble at all, but how did it go? What was the way that it went that made you think they would change things?
Well, what I thought was not ironic, but made me feel like, oh, they're going to make a change is Buddy and I both tried 5 or 6 different sets of tires, and we weren't told what they were or which one was which when they were put on the car, and kind of kept both of us from knowing. And I could be incorrect, but I'm pretty sure from the way I understood it that we both chose our favorite tire to, race around the track. We both chose the same one without knowing it and without putting them on the car in the same order when we went out. They changed them around, and from what I was told, we chose the same tire. So, and I thought we could move around the racetrack more. And with the way, I said that, it seems like we are required to run aggressive on the cushion, that, a tire that felt like we could move around the racetrack more would be a good thing. And just decided not to go that route.
Gotcha. And the only reason I led with Glenn's question, Glenn is selfishly, I asked, I was like, my co-host is watching Illinois basketball right now. Can you come on and do this? And he's like, how long is it going to take? I want to get some sleep before I leave for PRI at midnight. You don't have to stay on here if you don't want to. If you want to stay on here,
you're good.
Well, I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you. One of my best friends over there. No, Logan, you ran a marathon the other week. Why'd you do that? I was telling my friends about running today, and especially paying to run somewhere. Like, that sounds bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't say about mile 18. I was like regretting my decisions a little bit, but that's kind of why I like that. So I like that kind of stuff. I like challenging myself. especially physically. It started out, when I first started racing on the Outlaw Tour, I wasn't, I felt like there were certain races where, um, as far as physically, like I was getting worn out. And, as far as, I've said different times about my grandfather, he'd say about, exactly his wording of it. I'm not sure if I get it right, but about, when you have certain little things and, some people will say, well, that little thing doesn't matter. He always taught me that if you take 10 of those little things and you add them up, they're going to make a difference. And so, as far as being, like out of shape or in shape, I decided early on in my career that I was going to stay physically active to make sure that I never got tired in a race car. And I saw guys that I, admired or looked up to, like Joey Saldana, and Doug Wolfgang was always that way. Steve Kinzer he might be smoking some ciggies on the red flags, but he's always riding his bike. He was a state champ wrestler. So I looked up to those guys, and I wanted to make sure that I had every advantage that I could. So it started out as that, and then it's just challenged myself. And I feel like I put all this time and effort into staying in shape. And then I got some friends. My buddy Justin Gwynn signed up for it with me, and I wanted to do one last year. And it was kind of, everybody has those, mental challenges with, did I get to where I am because, I had great people around me, or, can I be, successful myself if I, put my time and effort into something, and, if I do something that's hard. So that's kind of what marathons, symbolize for me, is if I, try something that's hard, can I do it? So, I had to prove to myself that, and that's why I wanted to do it.
How much did that help your, the normal training you do just to race a sprint car? Did you take, I know it's endurance over everything. You go ahead.
Yeah. Training cardio wise, your heart rate, I've, worn a heart rate monitor while I race. I know certain guys do, like Kyle Larson, Rico, I think Macedo does sometimes, but, my heart rate gets up super high, just like I would while I was running. So it has to be beneficial that, instead of thinking about how tired I am or how, I can't catch my breath, on lap 47 of the, 50 lap, Ironman 55 or 55 lap Ironman 55. I don't want to be thinking about those things. You want to stay focused on hitting your marks and making good laps. And that's kind of why I did it. But yeah, running, it trains your cardio. It changes, it trains that stuff. I like to jump rope a lot. I feel like that trains your, your shoulders and, all that kind of stuff, and your legs, and so your arms don't get worn out. I think that's really good for that. And yeah, there's different things of reaction times and that kind of thing. But started out as just trying to stay in shape, and then marathon was kind of just to challenge myself.
And real quick, I'm gonna put a photo of your sprint car up for 2026, because I think it's my favorite Duramax scheme, favorite paint scheme you've had, that you've come out with. What went into the designs of this? And I was telling Bill earlier, I'm going to call you guys the Oregon Ducks of sprint car racing, because you have so many designs, and I love seeing the amount of designs, because if you don't like one, well, there's 6 more, and I love doing that on the video game too.
Well, we're blessed to have so many great partners, and really excited about Duramax, the relationship that we've built the last few years. Dryden has been with us since 2018. Federated has been with us the last 4 or 5 years. So really, excited about what we have. That we can showcase all these awesome race cars throughout the year and different paint schemes. But yeah, great looking race car. Zach from Lakeside did a great job with that scheme, and super excited to debut that Duramax ride here at PRI this week. It'll be in the Triple X booth, so anybody that's going there, be sure to check it out. But yeah, really excited about our cars and what we have going on, and all our partners. We're welcoming back Mark Martin Motors this year. Give us, really nice rides to drive up and down the road with, pull our t-shirt trailer or whatever we need be. So, Summer and I will probably be getting an SUV from them in the next year or two. They got really nice stuff, but we got great.
And it's not that Mark Martin, is it?
No. Not the Mark Martin that drove NASCAR. No, not the same guy. I get asked that a lot.
No, one thing I did want to ask you about is we a few weeks ago lost Bobby Allen. And I just wanted to ask what he meant to you. And sorry to put this in the middle. That was not my intention. I'm just terrible at planning out my shows. But what he meant to you, and you guys are entering your 13th year on the road with the World of Outlaws. And I couldn't be more excited. I think it's one of the best stories of in motorsports ever. I needed to ask you about Bobby and anything to say. If you have a funny story to put at the end, please do.
Well, the easiest way to put it is without trying to get myself choked up. He's my hero, man. Taught me everything I known about race cars. I would have never got this opportunity if it wasn't for him. He's my hero as my grandfather, as a legend, original outlaw race car driver, sprint car driver that he was, that helped get this sport to where it is. One of the original outlaws. And just very fortunate to have him as my mentor, to have him growing up to show me how to race. I know he, lived his last how many years, and really enjoying going up and down the road. And that's what he was going to do until he could no longer do it anymore. And I knew that. He knew that. That's what he wanted. And I think the racing world really respected that about him, and which meant a lot to myself and my family, that they saw, what he did and what he meant to our sport. That, I don't know if I'll be like him. I love sprint car racing. It's what I've always wanted to do. I want to do it for a long time, but man, that guy, you see people, once they get to a certain point that they kind of, they retire and they disappear and maybe you don't see them anymore. And my grandfather did this until he was until he absolutely couldn't do it anymore. He was at Williams Grove for the Williams Grove National Open the night before. And, just super thankful for everything that he's taught me and the way that he taught me, and the lessons that he showed me along the way. But super great guy. He tried to be friends with everybody. I feel like he, back in his day, everybody traveled together. They, all the wives hung out together, and he tried his best to bring that into today's age and as competitive as it is, and how political everything gets and how big everything got, to stay close and make as many friends as he could. And he was a very likable person. So just super thankful that I had him as my grandfather.
All right, two more things, and then we'll get to the fun stuff. How is Jacob, and how is Ashton? Give me your impressions of Ashton and an update on Jacob. What's he doing, and how has he been?
Well, Jacob is not a hunter, so I haven't got to hang out with Jake the last couple weeks. I haven't seen him a whole lot. There's times where we'd go to the Y and play some basketball over the winter, but his little girl turned 1 the other week, so we were over with him for that. But he's supposed to run the Outlaws next year, and I'm excited for them. I hope that is the case. I think Ashton's a great kid. His family are great people, and when I see Ashton succeed, so and Jacob's doing a great job as a mechanic, not too far away. So I'm really looking forward to having them guys out on the road with us, just like we did a few years ago for the first 10 years of us learning this deal and traveling and just looking forward to it.
All right. I got I got 3 fun ones, and then we'll let you go. Thank you for taking the time tonight. But
man.
you mentioned Steve Kinzer. I'm a big Kinzer guy. I picked him because of his paint scheme, and I ended up picking probably one of the most badass guys in the world. But do you have any funny Steve Kinzer stories from you growing up?
Funny Steve Kinzer stories. Huh. I don't know, because I didn't get to hang out with Steve a whole lot. So,
Right.
yeah.
I try to go out of left field with things, and it
close,
backfires
but
sometimes.
yeah.
I've been topped off by him a couple of times in Australia.
Oh, yeah, Glenn, go for it.
That's I got chopped by him a couple of times. That's about it. And then I don't know, probably I think it was in the mid '80s. He ran one of my dad's midgets in Australia, won the Australian GP with it. That's about all I got. So
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I didn't know that story till now, and Glenn knows I'm a big Kinzer guy. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, that was a long. There's more to that story than anything, but yeah, it was basically the car that they put him in a piece of junk. Well, no, this is Logan tonight. That's why I'm sort of sitting in the corner, kind of quietly. So,
that's fair. All right, fair enough. All right. So this is one of our this is our biggest fan of the show, Logan. His name's JoJo. He says, if we put Gravel and Logan in a cage, who's going to win? And I assume he means in a fight. Like we'll call it a hockey fight. Who do you got? Yeah,
I got.
Glenn, you can answer too. Yeah, hockey fight. I can teach you how to hockey fight, but I would also teach David how to hockey fight. So I don't know if it would mesh very well.
I don't know. Logan just killed a bear, didn't you? Like that was the top of the conversation. So I'd be struggling to bet against him. Like
JoJo says cage
fight.
I assume he means UFC. I assume he doesn't mean WWE because they're acting the whole time. But
I don't know. I don't know David's background or what he's done or what he's.
Good answer, Logan. Bill's clapping right now.
Yeah. I'm not sure, but I'd feel pretty confident. I don't know of any guys on tour that I'd be. Yeah, I'd feel good in the cage.
I love it. All right. So there's one more. And I'm not sure. I feel like you should know it, but I asked Trent Gower, and I ask someone every time I have someone on an interview, and Bill didn't give me any, just so you know. But Trent, I asked him, give me a funny Logan story that you have that he wouldn't know that I knew. And I said I need to ask him about Trent's night at the Jackson Motorplex.
So Summer's here. Maybe she can help me. Yeah, I don't know.
Get Summer over here. Tell everybody hi.
Yeah,
Trent
had a pretty good night. He was feeling good, and Trent and I have grew close the last how many years he's been on tour. But we're just starting to be buddies at that point. And what did he do? I never see really Trent drink a whole lot. He's not like a big drinker. But we had a pretty good party in the pit area after Jackson Nationals. It was my first, big win. I'm not sure if it was the first one, which I think the first one was 25,000, and the second one was 50,000. Yeah, so the second one that was 50,000. We were probably celebrating a little bit more than we did at the Million because we had to race the next day. But the 50,000 at Jackson, we were celebrating pretty good. But yeah, I don't think Trent even made it back to his van to go to bed. I think he got hurled in there by a couple of dudes, kind of roping him up by his shirt and his shorts, and kind of just thrown in there. And his leg might even been hanging out the door. I don't know, but
he needed assistance.
Yeah, he needed assistance. So, but that's where he was left.
We'll get him on for the tell-all for that. Was Summer the one I mistake as Buddy Kofoid's girlfriend? Is that who I said that to? At Houston's last year?
Yeah, I think you might have something like that.
Tell her I apologize again. I know I apologized then, but yeah.
Yeah.
You guys
that's my future wife. We get married January 17th. So
congratulations also.
Congratulations.
Heck yeah.
Thanks.
Well, Logan, thanks for taking the time to do this. I think everybody really appreciates you, and I've always thought you're one of the coolest cats in the pits as far, motorsports, sprint car racing goes. And really appreciate you doing this. So we'll see you guys. We'll get off here and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks again to Chris Weiser and the Weiser companies. And next Tuesday night, we'll see you right back here on the Always Race Day podcast.